In today's video, we're gonna know cars you didn't know share the same engine. Two completely different cars from two different manufacturers, even if they're owned by the same company in some cases, sharing a powertrain is not so common in the automotive industry. It is true, however, that such vehicles exist. Engines shared by these cars are ones you wouldn't expect. Without any delays, let's start today's video. Number 1. Mercedes S600 and Pagani Zonda C12S. One of the best sounding cars ever made is the Pagani Zonda. If you love Mercedes-Benz cars and want a model that sounds like a Pagani, you can actually find one. There is a similar sound to a Pagani Zonda engine in the Mercedes M120 6.0-litre V12. Pagani Zonda's first engine, the C12, used this engine untuned in its very first model. Mercedes cars with this engine include the W140, S600 and CL600. Between 1992 and 2002, Mercedes CL600s, S600s and SL600s were equipped with this engine. Even though Mercedes discontinued the production of these cars, you can still find second-hand cars at great prices. Most of them range from $9,000 to $18,000. But with all the fuss they are undergoing now, expect them to increase in price. During Pagani's early years, its engine was derived from an understated Mercedes-Benz S600. When used in that application, the V12 provided decent thrust while still being smooth as butter. When it was transformed into a Zonda, it became a screaming monster that could be heard wherever the Zonda went. The event was definitely witnessed, if not heard. One of the best parts, with a few exhaust modifications, you can make a W140 S600 sound exactly like a Zonda. It just won't be anywhere near as fast. Engine sharing is not uncommon between models and manufacturers. High-performance models can also benefit from the use of some totally unassuming engines. There are many examples of this phenomenon, such as these two pairs of cars. Number 2, BMW 750i and McLaren F1. It's arguably the most exotic model in all of BMW's history that is known as the McLaren F1. McLaren F1 was created by Gordon Murray. It was the fastest production car for almost a decade and the most powerful BMW until recently. For increased reliability and driver control, Murray wanted a naturally aspirated engine with 550 horsepower and a maximum weight of 250 kilograms. Back then, the combination of Honda and McLaren dominated Formula 1, so the requested engine was supposed to be derived from the actual race car. As a result of Honda's refusal, Isuzu was interested in providing a test chassis for their new 3.5 V12 engine. As a result, BMW decided to develop the engine instead of Isuzu's, since the designers rejected Isuzu's project. The BMW S72 V12 engine powering the F1 GTR, as well as the Le Mans prototypes V12 LM and LMR, was the heart of the F1 GTR. With 618 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque, the 6-litre engine reached 7,500 RPM. As a result of a restrictive air filter, the F1 GTR's engine actually produced slightly less power than the road cars, closer to 600 horsepower. When it arrived at Le Mans in 1955, it achieved 236.7 miles per hour on the Mulsanne Straight, thanks to its dramatically more aggressive aero package and lower overall weight. It was only natural that BMW of North America would also bring out some of its iconic racing cars during its M3 M4 reunion last month in Palm Beach. In 1996, BMW Motorsports, in conjunction with their Italian partner, Bugatti Team SRL, campaigned this McLaren F1 GTR chassis, number 17R, at Le Mans when they finished 8th overall and 6th in the GT1 class. 3 drivers shared driving duties: Nelson Piquet, Johnny Cecotto, and Danny Sullivan. Currently part of BMW North America's BMW Classics collection, it recently received an engine tune-up to ensure proper operation. Number 3, Ford Mondeo Mk3 and Noble M400. Noble made small, lightweight, simple sports cars designed primarily for the track before the M600 became popular. Crank windows were so much intended for track use. A Duratec V6 engine from Ford powered the M400 sports car. Specifically, albeit with some small modifications, the engine was sourced from the third-generation Mondeo sedan, once available in the United States as the Contour. The V6 variant was rare in its primary market of Europe, but it lived on in the Noble M400. Number 4, Mini Hatch and BMW i8. As with the Mini Cooper hatch, the BMW i8 offers a turbocharged 1.5-litre 3-cylinder engine. Although detuned, it is present in the Mini. Despite its small size, the 3-cylinder engine in the Mini produces 134 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. A new electric motor can assist the new Mini engine, which isn't the most powerful in the lineup. Yes, this one is well known. There were a lot of reasons why the BMW i8 made headlines in 2014 when it was released. Power came from a 1.5-litre turbocharged 3-banger borrowed from the Mini, plus some electric motors. Fuel consumption and emissions of an EconoBox were combined with supercar performance. Its demise earlier this year was the result of the i8's failure to meet expectations. In contrast to the Mini, BMW's i8 will always be remembered for its small footprint. Despite not being a supercar in the slightest, this small dent was always marketed as one. Number 5. Audi RS4 and Gumpert Apollo. Remember the Gumpert Apollo? Supercars like that aren't particularly attractive, but they're really fast. It was powered by the same engine as one of the most beloved Audis of all time. 4.8 V8 engines were also used in this vintage S4s and R8s, but the Apollos had 2 turbochargers. As a result, consumers were able to choose between 650 and 800 horsepower. Many years ago, it set the fastest time on the Top Gear test track due to its speed and violence. Number 6. Volvo XC90 and Noble M600. It may not exactly be a flex to use an engine from a Volvo SUV in your supercar, but it worked quite well for British boutique manufacturer Noble. In the M600, 2 turbochargers were added to Volvo's previously overlooked and unknown B8444S V8 engine, allowing it to deliver 650 horsepower with the right engine setting, of course. Because of this, the Noble was able to reach a top speed of around 225 miles per hour, despite the engine being used to power an SUV and sedan at one time. Good enough. Number 7. Audi S8, D3 and Lamborghini Gallardo. A cash-strapped Lamborghini was acquired by the Volkswagen Group, specifically Audi, in the late 90s. Lambo's parts bin contained some parts Audi could borrow, and Audi could give some parts back. Specifically, the engine in the S8 Super sedan. In fact, the engineering work was mostly done by Audi, so technically it wasn't borrowed. You can tell the truth if you have a Lamborghini-powered S8, since it has the same engine. Aside from that, the S8 is significantly cheaper than the Gallardo on the used market. Number 8. Ford Crown Victoria and Koenigsegg CC8S. Using the same engine as everyone's favorite highway patrol machine, the car launched one of the biggest supercar brands out there. Koenigsegg couldn't develop its own engine back in the day when they were just getting started. They borrowed the modular V8 engine from Ford and then added a supercharger to make 655 horsepower. Even though that might not seem like a lot, the CC8S could achieve over 240 miles per hour in its aerodynamic body. Number 9. Toyota Camry and Lotus Evora. Unlike many of the British contemporaries, Lotus had an absolutely terrible reliability record in the past. The Toyota powertrains in their cars solved this problem. Unlike Elise, the range-topping Evora has a powertrain from the Camry. In a sports car, an engine from the world's most boring and conventional car is used. Lotus seems to have found a good solution, as they are now able to extract over 400 horsepower from it. Number 10. European Ford Focus ST and Volvo V50 T5. Volvo and Ford were both under the same roof before the Geely revolution of the 2010s, so many components were shared. This is exemplified perfectly by these two. As opposed to the mid-performance practical wagon, the hot hatchback has excellent handling and excellent design. In addition, there's no need to choose one over the other based on your location. Volvos are pretty well priced on the used market, and they were available in the US. That's all for today's video. Do like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed the content. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you at the next one. Until then, stay tuned. Goodbye.